So who is responsible for the security failure that led to the 4 Americans losing their lives in Benghazi? If you believe the State Department, it's anyone but them. With me is Fox News national security analyst K.T. McFarland and Fox News military analyst, U.S. Army Colonel David Hunt. Welcome to 2 of my favorites. Thanks for being with us this Saturday night. All right, now, Colonel Hunt, who's driving the blame game here? Because I don't know, I know who I believe, but it's going like this right now in Washington.
I don't think there's any independent action. I think it's clear to me. It's clear that it's White House driven. It's not State Department or Secretary or Defense or CIA. This is a White House driven scenario that's happened since the 11th.
All right, and KT, you're the person, you're our person, our man, our woman who was in Washington during preps for these kinds of interviews.
Yeah.
Did Susan Rice not know the truth?
Look, everybody knew the truth. Everybody knew that it was Al-Qaeda from the very beginning.
The question, according to Colonel Hunt, is who didn't know?
Who didn't know, and that's a good question. But now, where would she have gotten her marching orders? And why her? Now, I think it's because Hillary Clinton looked at that. I'm sure she was asked first. And she said, I don't want to go out there like Colin Powell did at the United Nations, saying there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and being proven wrong, and there's the end of his career. I think that she understood she didn't want to be out there saying that. So then it's UN Ambassador Rice. So what does she say? She says what they told her to say. Good soldier, salute. I'm going to say whatever they tell me to say.
But let me ask you this. You have been in these situations. If someone made a mistake to the American public 5 times, dug their heels in, would you expect them to come out and say,
immediately,
you know, look, I made a mistake, you know, maybe I ought to take that one back a little, let me pull...
Immediately. And she also came out without a lot of qualification. She came out and instead of saying at this, you know, she should have said what we know now. At this point, she didn't. She said very definitively it wasn't terrorists. Now, to me, that was the red flag.
Well, and clearly, I mean, the president of Libya, Colonel, came out right before her and said it was a pre-planned terrorist act, and we know it was Al-Qaeda. Everybody knew it. Where did she get this spontaneous protest in the YouTube video? Who gave her those talking points? Forget about who took out Al-Qaeda. Who made up the fairy tale?
We've got, well, the intelligence community prepares some of it. The rest of it's the White House. She's reading from a script. Yeah. We had 4 separate ways of communicating and gathering information within hours. Everyone in that chain of command from the president on down knew what had happened. Not 5 days, not 2 weeks later. Within hours, we knew what happened.
Well, and you know, what's interesting about that is if you got your talking points from the intelligence community.
She wouldn't have, though.
Yeah, but she had access to the president's daily briefings. But the CIA doesn't issue unclassified reports on something like this.
Here's how it would have happened. The CIA would have sent their stuff to the White House. The NSC would have prepped her, or the press office would have prepped her. Here are your talking points. This is what we want you to say. This is a theme we want you to spin. It would not have come directly from an intelligence agency to the UN ambassador. It went by a political route.
Coordinated.
It was coordinated. Yeah. Okay. And what about the fact that she said that there was no question about this in her mind, and she ended up saying it was what the military, the intelligence gave us. She didn't go near the State Department. She didn't go near the White House. She was very specific. This is what the intelligence community gave us.
Yeah, but, you know, at this point, I think your whole point is right, where you said everybody's blaming everybody else. We are 3 months later, and what do we know for sure? The only thing we know for sure is that David Petraeus had a mistress. We still don't know, you know, who did what before and during and after. That's why I think the administration, frankly, has gotten away with it. They've gotten away with a cover-up and a lie, and unless there are confirmation hearings or some
She's never going to be put to the test.
Nobody's going to go under oath and say the truth.
And what about the State Department here? I mean, you know, we've got the CIA and the DOD and everybody blaming each other. But it looks like even though Hillary said, I'm taking responsibility, and the president says, blame me, there's no accountability. What should happen?
Well, for not having proper security agents between state and the Secretary of Defense, but for not responding, it's Department of Defense and the White House. There's nobody in between. We moved forces. They never got the order to go in and help in Benghazi, period.
And so that's the White House.
Yeah, and the other thing I find really offensive is in 1998 and at this occasion, we have never gone back after the people who did the acts.
True.
In 1998, when they bombed the U.S. Embassy in the USS Cole, Bin Laden has even said they didn't respond. That's why we did September 11th.
And they were emboldened by it.
And they were emboldened, and they will be emboldened by this, because at this point, Nobody's fighting them. We're fighting each other.
Well, not only that, I mean, you know, the FBI gets in there 3 weeks later to check it out, and without the leaving with evidence. Colonel David Hunt and KT McFarland, it's a pleasure having you with us this evening.